Hi, everyone. This is Lisa Haven, and I've got a highly urgent report to share with you today, specifically in regards to the fact that the elite are panicking. And in fact, they are also holding multiple meetings behind closed doors to discuss the fate of our economy. Now, let's start first with the Federal Reserve Board of Governors. They have now held 4 special meetings, or are going to hold. Some have been held. The first one was held on April 6th, the next April 11th, the next today, and then tomorrow they will be holding another. Now, I've never seen this many critical meetings held within 1 week on the Federal Reserve. So very interesting thing that I'm keeping my eye on, especially considering the topsy-turviness of our economy. Also, Joe Biden and President Obama met with Janet Yellen, the federal chair, right after the April 11th meeting that the feds had in their office. What that means, well, it could mean a number of things, but the fact that they're meeting and discussing our financial situation is something that we definitely need to consider. Also, let's take into account the fact that the G20 meeting is going to be held in Washington, D.C. Now, they've got events scattered throughout April 12th all the way through the 15th, and they're going to be discussing financial workings. Now, all this is going on within a week's time frame. Some pretty critical events, not to mention what's going on with the Atlantic Fed Index, and I'm going to get into that in a moment, as well as the Baltic Dry Index, as well as the stock market, which they are just inflating that bad boy. But I think the best thing to do is let's just delve straight into this report, and let me show you those secret meetings that they're harboring behind closed doors, because they always mean something is coming. And we know it's not a matter of if the economy will collapse, but when. Let's delve into those reports. So here we are, you can see on Federal Reserve website.gov, and here are the board meetings. You can see April 6th was the first one, then yesterday, April 11th, and then today, April the 12th, Tuesday, and then one tomorrow on the 13th. Let's take a look at some of what they're going to be discussing here. First one, here's the one held at 11:30 on Monday, April 11th. Topics of discussion: review and determination by the Board of Governors of the advance and discount rates to be charged by the Federal Reserve Bank. What rates are they going to charge? Interesting. Here's another one. Let's go back to April 6th, Bank Supervisory Meeting. That one was there. Now remember, after this April 11th meeting, Janet Yellen, which I'm going to show you in the report in just a moment, met with Obama and Biden right after that particular meeting. Then after their meeting with Obama and Biden, 2 additional meetings are held, one today. Again, this is a bank supervisory matter, and then one tomorrow in which they will discuss periodic briefing and discussion on financial markets, institutions, and infrastructure. And again, these are behind closed doors. We're not privy to this information. Federal Reserve, please keep in mind who they are. They are not a government institution. They are a bunch of foreign bankers, so to speak, who are out for profit. Moving on to that next report. Here we are on the wallstreetjournal.com. You can see the link there. But here it is. President Obama to meet with Fed Chairwoman Yellen on Monday. That is Monday, April 11th. This meeting held once again after the private meeting, but they are expected to focus on the state of the economy, Wall Street reform, and economic outlook. Now, the last time such a meeting was held with these characters was November 12th, and that came a month before the Fed's historic first hike rate. So there you have it. So we could be looking at something of that nature. Now, one other thing that I mentioned at the beginning of this video that we also need to consider is the G20 summit. And here is just a calendar of meetings for the G20 summit. They gather often, but considering we have the Federal Reserve talking about, certain discussions in regards to finances. We have Obama and Biden and Janet Yellen meeting together after that. And then in addition to that, we have this here in April. I want you to notice these dates right here. Try to circle them with my mouse here. But we have April 11th, 12th, 12th to 14th, 13th, 14th, and 14th, 15th. These are just typical climate lies that they're going to talk about. But these later meetings, 13th, 14th, and 15th, are specifically in Washington, D.C., of all places. And they're going to focus on finance and central bank finance and central bank governors, these kinds of financial stabilities in our country. So something to think about there as well. Now, something to add to that is this from businessinsider.com. Here we have Jamie Dimon. The U.S. has serious issues that we need to address. Who is Jamie Dimon? He is the J.P. Morgan CEO. Now, he put out this report. Let me go to the top here, and then I'll scroll back to what I want to show you. This is JP Morgan Chase and Company, their 2015 annual report. Now, in this report, he talks about tragedy that is coming here in America. And I'm going to scroll back down to where I was a moment ago, page 51, I believe. No, actually page 49. And here's what he says here in this report. Let me show you the page there. There you go. But I do not believe that these issues will cause a crisis in the next 5 to 10 years. And unfortunately, this may lull us into a false sense of security. But after 10 years, he says, it will become clear that action will need to be taken. So in his report, I guess in 10 years, something needs to happen or the junk is going to hit the fan, so to speak. It will become clear that action needs to be taken. The problem is not that the U.S. economy won't be able to take care of its citizens. It is that taking away benefits, creating intergenerational warfare, and scapegoating will make it very difficult, and bad politics. This is a tragedy that we can see coming. Early action would be relatively painless. So there is that. But he does report in this that and finally admits that some kind of tragedy is coming. Excuse the link there, but there is his annual report. And I highly recommend you skim through it. It is 330 some odd pages, but it does kind of give you an idea of what they know is coming in the future. Now, here we are at the Federal Reserve Bank of Atlanta, and it's right before the meetings held at the Federal Reserve or held by the Federal Reserve Board of Governors and the meetings between Obama, Biden, and Janet Yellen. This report came out stating that the Atlantic Federal Reserve Bank revised the revisions of its previous revisements to say the U.S. economy now looks like it will report in the first quarter, as you can see here, a 0.1%. So after that report came out, bang, then we got all the meetings. So interesting there. And here is just the evolution of Atlanta Fed here, and it shows for the first quarter, bang, down here on April 4th. Just something that we definitely need to keep our eyes out on. Now, in case you're not aware of what this Federal Reserve Bank of Atlanta and the Atlanta Fed Index is, it's here's a quick definition: a monthly survey of manufacturing firms located in the southeastern U.S. conducted by the Federal Reserve Bank of Atlanta. The index is also known as the Southeastern Manufacturing Survey. The Atlanta Fed Index tracks both current and expected indexes for production, for shipment, new orders, backlog orders, finished good inventories, employees, average work week length, and new orders. So there's kind of, a quick breakdown. Now, it is also one of the most closely watched, and it is seen as an important manufacturing indicator because of the states covered are among the most manufacturing heavy states in the United States. That is why this is important. Now, I'll leave a link. This is on Investopia.com. I'm going to leave a link to this. So if you want to read why that's something important to watch, you can. Now, last thing that I want to cover here is on the Economic Collapse blog. Now, this was written by Michael Snyder, April 10th. Economic collapse is erupting all over the planet as global leaders begin to panic. And he's referencing some of those meetings that I spoke about, the G20 meeting, the meetings at the Fed, the meeting with Janet Yellen, what's going on with the Atlantic Fed Index there. All of it is kind of adding together, but we are at that tumbling breaking point, and I think they know that. But here he really gets into what's happening worldwide. In, I think, Brazil, he gives reports from CNN. He gives reports of what's happening in Venezuela, what's going on in the collapse of the Italian banking system, Europe, what's going on in Europe financially, information from Business Insiders. So all kinds of great information. But I'm going to leave a link to this report because I also want you to see what's going on worldwide with the banking system, so you can see it's not just happening here in America. There's a global thing, and out of that, well, we know what's coming, and that is a new world order. But there is all that information. There you have it. They obviously know something we don't know. They are keeping it behind closed doors and not telling anybody. Now, here's the thing we need to remember. Back in 2007 and 2008, were we warned that event was going to transpire? Absolutely not by our government. No one was told. It just happened. They just allowed it to take place. That's the exact same thing that will happen in the future when the economy finally collapses, when it hits the crapper. Now, the only thing that we have forewarning us are top economists telling us things. We can look at banks, we can look at secret meetings behind closed doors and speculate when that's going to happen. And we can give you the best warning that we can, but you're not going to get that warning from the government. We didn't get it in 2007, 2008, and you're not going to get it in the future. So just something to ponder with that and keep that in the back of your mind. But definitely, if they're having meetings behind closed doors and consistently so with Obama, with Yellen, with what's going on with the Atlantic Index, with the Baltic Dry Index, with the stock market, all these things we need to consider. We know that internationally they are dumping our debt. We know internationally other countries are faltering and toppling. What's going on in China, what happened with Greece a while back. It's literally hitting the fan, and we have blinders on. And this is something that causes a lot of red flags for me, and why I bring it to your attention, because I think you need to know about it. Not only that, but let's also consider what's happening with the election. We know in Colorado that they, took all the delegates and gave them to Ted Cruz. There wasn't even a vote to be held. I don't care what the law says. I don't care what laws they passed a long time ago in order to accomplish what they did the other day in Colorado, and saying they're going to push it all through. It doesn't matter what the people say. It's illegal. I don't care. The law that they made is illegal to do that. They should not have the capability to do that, period. And I'm outraged by it. And everybody should be, whether you're a Ted Cruz supporter or a Donald Trump supporter or whoever you're a supporter of. That is utter stealing. That is stealing and fraudulent. And Ted Cruz should say, hey, let's do this the right way and go for the vote. But that didn't happen. It didn't happen. So it's wrong on every level in my book. I don't care what laws are in place, because the laws are wrong and the laws are illegal in my book, according to the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, and the rights that we have. We're not communist China. We're America, for crying out loud. This same junk happens in China, where they give you a select few candidates and say, hey, you can only pick the ones that we want, but you get to pick between the 2 or 3 that we want, or how many ever they have for the people to choose. But they get to vote. They just get to vote between the elected people that are pushed up by the government. Same kind of thing here, but a different ball pit, so to speak. Let's try this ball pit. Well, if we can't, there's too many people voting for Trump or whatever, let's just cast all our delegates for Ted Cruz, right? Makes me worry even more that he's could be establishment. I don't know. I know a lot of good people are going for Ted Cruz, and maybe I'm wrong, but anyway, I don't want to get into that topic right now. We need to focus on what's happening with the economy and what's happening with the election as well, because I wonder, and I do wonder, I know many people have told me, well, he's going to cancel the election and initiate martial law before the election even takes place. They're not going to let anybody in. Could that happen? Absolutely. Do I know? I don't know. I can speculate. But if all these meetings are happening right now before the election, my hairs are going up, and I began to think, well, could he cancel the election? He absolutely could, legally speaking, with these fraudulent laws that they keep creating and forcing on the American people to make their illegal sin legal, so to speak, when it shouldn't be legal in the first place, and they're breaking every law in the book, absolutely, he can do that. And will he? I don't know. And they won't ever call it martial law. When they do initiate it, it'll be some kind of peacekeeping force. Strong Cities Network. Maybe that's what they'll call it, right? Because that's an international worldwide peace force for the New World Order, which we know the end game is the New World Order. If you've not looked up Strong Cities Network, Google it. Strong Cities Network. Entire reports on that, where it's a global police force. Basically, one police force linking with another, sharing information. Paris linking with Detroit, linking with New York City, yada, yada, yada. And a bunch of fun there. But they'll have some sort of peacekeeping force. It won't be countrywide. It may be, cities. But in the event that an economic crisis comes, that might be something that they push through and attempt to put some kind of police force to bring in peace, so to speak, and take away the guns, which we know comes as a result if there are a bunch of riots and yada, yada. They will do that. But not saying that will happen. I don't know. But nonetheless, there are all the laws in the book for them to do that. That's what I can say. And that's what I will say in regards to that. My hope is, the election goes through. I personally believe it will, though, as we get deeper and deeper, you start thinking, that would be horrible. But if we get another Hillary in, which is possible, or Bernie Sanders, then we're looking at socialism, communism. Anyway, they're going to initiate and push the same crap as Obama. Maybe even worse, in my opinion. So whether Obama stays in or goes out, which I believe he'll go out, and if we get Hillary or Bernie in there, I don't think they'll let Bernie in, but I don't like Bernie either, nonetheless. But I hate Hillary. I don't like either of them. But if one of them get in, we're looking at hell freezing over here in America. Anyway, I don't want to ramble on. Hopefully you get the gist. But thanks again for tuning into my channel. If you have not checked out some of my partners here, I've got two. I've got getthetea.com. He's got great detox program. I use the Super Strength Tea. I also use the Sea Vegetables. Great product there that has iodine in it. It's all organic. It's from the sea. Great stuff. I actually think the smell is pretty neat, but if you like the ocean smell, I guess. In addition to that, I also have my partner as well, foodforliberty.com/haven. I'll leave a link below. Get yourself prepped and stored with food, because look, if the economy hits the fan and all these meetings are taking place and these things are happening, if everything goes south, you're going to need food. You are not going to be able to rely on these distribution lines. Did they work back in the 1940s and when the Great Depression hit? No, they didn't. People starved. People were malnourished. People died of malnourishment. Why? Because they relied on the government for that food. You can't do that. Can't do that because it's not going to be there. And it's going to be in minimal portions. And they've even said, there's CIA agents and people who've come online and leaked that there's not going to be enough food. So keep that in mind. Get prepared with food. If you don't do it through Food for Liberty, do it for somebody. If you don't, pack it yourself, but have some extra on hand for you and your family. Anyhow, also don't forget to subscribe to my channel here. I got lots of great stuff. And thanks again for tuning in. This is Lisa Haven signing out.